What's going on, everybody? It's Milton Spence here, coming to you live for another round of the Well-Rounded Coach's Corner. I am happy to have here an exclusive guest, everybody. This is an exclusive guest. This is my mama, my mammy, the lady who raised me, the woman that you see who produced the product that you see in front of you to this day. This is my mama. I'm gonna let my mama tell y'all who she is. I'm not gonna give no names. Everybody who knows us know who it is already. But mama, if you would, please introduce yourself and let the folks know what's up.
All right. Good morning, everybody. And first, thank you, Milton, for the honor of being a part of your platform. Um, my name is Sharon Thorpe, and many of the people that Milton knows me. Most people just call me Mama, but my name is Sharon Thorpe. I was Sharon before I was Mama. But anyway, yes, I am the proud mother of Milton Spence the third, the grandmother of Milton Spence the fourth, the grandmother of Madison Spence, and the grandmother of Caleb Clemens. I was getting ready to say Spence, Lord Jesus. Anyway, Caleb Clemens. But so when Milton asked me to do this yesterday, at first my very first response was, "Oh Lord." But then as I thought about it, it really is an honor, and I thank you for just this opportunity, Milton. So let's get at it. Let's do it. I can't hear you.
All right, I'm back. Okay, so what we're doing today, sorry about that. What we're doing today, we're talking about raising a black boy to a man in these United States of America. My mother did it, right? So I wanted to talk to her. I had the inclination to talk to her. I had a bunch of people I thought about, and I was like, what better person to speak to except for the person who actually did it with you firsthand, somebody who went through everything with you. Obviously, being a parent now myself, I now am starting to understand some of the things or some of the ways that she thought. And, being a child, I'm like, chill out, But now I'm starting to really understand, especially in the climates that we live into these days. But either way, I'm going to start off with the first question. Mama,
Mm-hmm.
when I was born, okay, coming into this earth, what were some of the thoughts that ran through your head besides the joy of having your brand new baby boy?
Good question. Of course, it was a joy, and initially, I didn't. It was just basically, how am I going to do this? Because me and your dad were together and married. Um, and at the time, I had your sister. And the biggest thing is I was tired. I had a toddler and then I had this brand new baby. And so you're trying, as a parent, when you're married, you're trying to just juggle. You're trying to figure out how to juggle the newborn baby as well as the toddler. And then you have, of course, I'm a girl, so I knew how to relate to my daughter. But then I had this little boy, and of course, I've had brothers. I've got two brothers, so I know boys are supposed to be rough and tough. But for the most part, I was really relying on your dad to do a lot of the boy stuff with you. But God saw different. And when I think you were like 3 weeks out of the turning 9, your father passed away. So the whole scope of parenting changed for me. It then became me solely having this little boy, this little black man child. But my mother had taught us when we were little, especially my brothers, that when a black boy is born in this world, he already has two stripes against him. He's born black and he's born a boy. So that stuck with me. And that part I always kept dear to my heart when you were little. I knew I had to raise you in this country, and then we lived in the South. So those were two dynamics that were completely different. And then when I became a single parent, to a black boy, I had to look at it differently. I had to figure this whole thing out, by myself. And so basically, I went to God a lot, going, now what? And I started the journey. And the biggest thing was, and I don't know if you even remember, from the time that you were able to just formulated thought. The biggest thing that I always told you, the most dangerous black man is not the black man on the, what is it? Finish it. Not
It's
the
the
black man on
educated
the
black,
corner.
right? But the educated black man.
Right. Not the black man on the corner with the Glock, but the educated black man. And so I was determined just with those things to make sure I was bent on making sure that you were going to be an educated black man. You were going to be able to articulate a sentence. You were going to be able to stand firm and look a person in the eye. Those things I kept trying to drill into you. Sometimes I know to your aggravation, but I, I drilled that into you. I kept telling you, you have to be a man. You cannot, you got to be a man. A man takes care of his responsibilities. A man takes care of his family. Those were the things that I knew. Those were the things that my mother taught my brothers. And so those were the things that I was bent on teaching you, and I stuck to it. And I was determined that the system, because I know the system is set up automatically to basically destroy a black boy, and thereby taking his future. I was determined that was not going to happen.
So tell me something. Knowing all those things and understanding my personality, right? As a parent, you start to understand your child's personality. How is it that you kept me to a position that, obviously with prayer, but how is it that you kept me in a position to always have my head on straight?
And I was thinking about this once you told me what the topic was going to be, and I was thinking about this yesterday. Keeping your head on straight. Yeah, I prayed a lot, but the biggest thing is, and as I said this earlier, as a woman, we can only with a black son, with a son, period, a single mother and a mother, even if you're married, you can only take your child, your man child, so far, because we don't know what it's like to be a man. We're not men, we're women. So we can teach you how to treat a woman, how to respect a woman, and those are some of the lessons that I talked to you about. Especially when you were a teenager, dating. If you're dating a young girl, you date that young girl one girl at a time. You don't have a bunch of women all at the same time, because those girls are, and I know you probably did something. I'm looking at that smile, but the lessons that I taught you, I'm not even gonna look at you. The lessons that I taught you was to date one woman at a time, because you had a mother, you had a sister, you had a grandmother, you had aunt, and you wouldn't want a man to treat you wouldn't want a man to treat them the way you were treating another young woman.
Right.
Okay. And then the other thing is knowing that the fact that I was a woman and I could only go so far to show you how to respect a woman, to how to treat a woman, but I needed to surround you by positive black men, somebody that could actually show you how to navigate manhood, because I couldn't do that. So I diligently sought out different men to help me in that quest. And so there came William Dillard, Greg Hurt, Willie Pearl, Greg Martin. Though Wilbur Jennings was the main one, which was your grandfather. But I also went about looking. I looked and I would talk to those different men and say, "Hey, would you help me to make sure that Milton knew how to operate as a man of excellence?" Because that's the main thing that I preach to you and your sister. Do everything in the spirit of excellence. And so that's the biggest thing, making sure that positive male influences are around the messages I can give any woman that's raising a son, and in particular a black son, is to ensure that positive male role models are surrounded her son. She surrounds him with those type of influences, so it will help him in those areas of his life that a mama can't teach him. help him navigate those different aspects of his life, because there are going to be times that, there's things that I'm sure you didn't talk to me about. I'm learning some things now, but there were things that you didn't. Some things you talked to me a lot about. We had those conversations, and I tried to ensure that the door was always open, that you felt comfortable enough to talk to me about that, and you did. And even now, we still have conversations when you're in your 30s. But the biggest thing is how I kept your head on straight was to ensure that you had positive male role models to help you navigate becoming into a man, from a boy into becoming a man.
And what about when, things got rough, for me, I think about a lot of young black men, and I think about how that positive male role model is something that we deep down we search for. Some black males, their father is not involved in their life. I was one of the ones that had their father to pass away, but nevertheless, the father is not there. Besides the black male influence, obviously, and thank you for that, always making sure that I understood that, I can talk to other men in order to learn about, more about myself and to get more in tune with myself, and also intentionally putting or talking to other men on my behalf and having them be a role model for me. Whether it be the guy who was tutoring me at one point in math, he would talk to me. He would talk to me a little bit and tell me different things while we were going over the math. He would talk to me about life as well. So I didn't know that you guys, were collaborating. I'm just thinking that, huh?
No, absolutely. That was a conversation he and I had. You also had a middle school teacher at Kendrick,
Mr. White.
And I had gone to him and had several conversations, and then he ultimately started that the group of boys, the Gentlemen of Excellence.
No, Distinguished Gentlemen.
Yeah, that's it, the Distinguished Gentleman, and that he spearheaded that from the conversations that he and I had several conversations about that, because not only it was you were there, your father had passed away, but there were several other little boys that were black boys that were there, and of course, just like you said, the father was not involved in their lives, so he spearheaded that group for you all to come in, and he made it a requirement for you to go to school. I believe it was every other Friday or once a month, where you had to wear a shirt and tie, and basically you all would meet and sit down and talk. But that particular group was spearheaded by him, and it was from conversations that he and I had, different conferences that he and I had.
And what about the fact of this? What advice would you give to moms, raising their son in this type of climate, who honestly just get tired, of dealing with the perils of the environment? Because a lot of times, even the environments that we were in, right, they weren't always racist things happening, right? There were things happening, obviously, we didn't always take part in, but there were also interracial things happening as well, and there were interracial. So I'll just say black on black folks, and then I'll say interracial as far as white and black people. So what was it that you had to do as a mom? Not no other influence outside of that, because obviously you had a huge influence in my life. But what is it that kept you going? Because I know working and all of that stuff, and everything you have to do. What pushed you, or what helped motivate you, or what advice would you give to mothers out there who are raising their kids out here? How can they continue to go on?
Yeah, there were times where any parent gets tired. You get tired, but you look at that child that God.
Hey, y'all, sorry about that. We had a technical difficulty. Internet is not necessarily always reliable. But either way, so Mom, if you could please start from the beginning and expound upon that last question.
As I said, the raising children is whether you're a single parent or a couple trying to raise children. It's difficult. It's tiring. Half the time you've got to look at the personality of your children and figure out, in regards to you and your sister, I had a really mild-mannered child, and then I had this really outgoing that was ready to kick the door down. And one of them you pushing, saying, "Go ahead, don't be afraid," and the other one you're holding on to, saying, "No, wait a minute, it's not time yet." And so you're trying to parent the different personalities. If your parent was a bunch of children, I couldn't imagine doing that, because two was enough for me. But the biggest thing is realizing the gift that God has blessed you with, um, being determined that you're going to raise the most absolutely best human being that you can possibly raise. Somebody that is compassionate, sympathetic, has a great work ethic. All of that is you're teaching them as you're going. You got to teach them work ethic. You got to teach them morals. You got to teach them integrity. You've got to teach them to stand up for what's right, even when everybody else is not standing. So the biggest thing that I went off of was just my determination. I'm an extremely determined person, and I want to do something, and I will. If somebody tells me no, you can't do it, that seems to fuel me even more so to prove them wrong. And so I knew that, like I said earlier, that when you left my body and entered into this world, you already had two strikes against you, and you hadn't done anything to anybody. You were a black male. You were black. You were a male. My daughter had a strike against her. She was a black female, and the system has automatically said for black children, the males would be a drug dealer or go to jail. The girls would automatically get pregnant by 16. And those were the statistics. And I was determined that you and Tashana were not going to fall into that systematic grip. I was determined about that. And I wasn't going to let it happen, come hell or high water. So on those nights when I might cry, and I'm alone in my room and I'm crying about it and mad at Dad because he left me, then God would whisper in my ear, "Get up," and I would. And then there were times where I was praying over your bed at night, in the middle of the night. I would just pray. I did a lot of that, and I still do. But you just have to be determined to do your absolute best by the gift that God gave you, and that's what I need.
Right. So, I mean, it's not easy raising children, obviously. You did a great job. I've always told you that. I told you were my hero. I told you that a while back. And I still mean that to this day, because to watch what happened in our lives, and obviously living through it from another lens, and then being a parent myself now I'm on the other side of that lens, and I'm like, wow, that's rough. That's pretty tough to go through as somebody. And then you're with the children, or you're with me and Tashana, and it's not like you can confide in us, because we have no idea what's going on anyway. We're just there, so we're just
not supposed to.
Right. But I'm saying, that's tough, to be in the house and you have people to talk to, as far as you can pray. Right? But your kids are there, they're running around, they have no idea what's going on. They just there.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. Parents are supposed to make the home environment and the child's life as happy as it possibly can be, even if dynamite and landfills are blowing up all around the parent. But that child, it should not affect that child in any regard. That child's life should be happy. Their memories should be happy. You should make, the lethal thing. And of course, me and your sister, all of us, we ran up on some hard times. But even in doing that, I tried to take the negative part, the ugly part of that, and turn it into something positive, where you all would look at it as something fun, even though it was something horrific going on around us.
Right.
I'm not going to sit up, and I've told people that I'm not going to tell anybody our lights had never been turned off, because they have. I'm not going to tell you that my water hadn't been turned off, because it had. But even in that, I figured out a way to make it a positive thing for y'all, no matter what was going on.
Right.
So, and that that's the assignment that I was talking about that a parent has, is to ensure that that childhood for that baby is the happiest that you can possibly provide. And no matter what's going on negatively, that it shouldn't affect that child, and it just shouldn't affect that child. That's the parents
And we're back again. So, Mom, one more time. All right.
it's just the enemy. He don't want this message to get out. That's all right.
I hear you. So, continue. You were saying every parent, that's their charge in life. Every parent must.
Make sure that the child's childhood is as happy as it can possibly be, so that when that child grows up, they have wonderful memories. Like I said, I'm not gonna say you and Tashana didn't run on hard times, because we did. Um, but I tried, even during those times, I tried to make sure that it was the unpleasant situation was still somewhat pleasant for y'all. And you know, like, the lights got turned off, and I put us by the fireplace, and we had a camping trip. I made it seem like we went camping at home.
And you know me, I'm always like, well, why the light just won't come back on? I mean, just flip the switch. You tripping. Like, why we gotta sit by this fire? It's hot. Always the one, like, just answer and trying to, like, just shut up.
Because it was Wednesday and I didn't get paid until Friday.
Right. Just shut up and eat your food and be quiet. Okay, you're right.
So
Always asking questions, man.
I made it a camping trip.
Why we just ain't outside then?
So we camping Wednesday night and Thursday night, and then miraculously.
Oh, okay. I guess camping is over.
But so yeah, but nonetheless, again, I tried to take a negative and turn
Right.
it into a positive for you all. And so, we told during the at home camping trip, we told we
Told
told
stories.
oh Lord, but God is good. So,
Uh-huh.
but still, that's the charge that a parent has. Is no matter, again, if bills and bombs are going on around that parent, to make it the most positive for that child.
Right.
That's my firm belief.
So that child, now he's in the world and he's older. I'm graduating high school. At that point, what went through your head? Yeah, those were a rough couple of years right there. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, boy, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know who she thinks she talking to, dog. I'm 17, bro. I can drive. Who she think she talking to, dog? I'm out. Give me my keys. and then
I want that car.
right then at the same time you was going through your little issues and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, you know what? We just not gonna make it. I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to get out of here, man. I can't wait till I'm grown. Then I'm gonna show you. Then I got to college. I was like, hey, you mind if I come back?
No. No.
Yeah, you grown. You grown. Gone now. Grown on. Grown on.
I was waiting to exhale. And yeah, from the age of 17. Yeah. Woo, Jesus, the offense, Lord.
We started battling at that point. We were going head to head.
Yeah, we were. And I knew it was coming. You had grown your muscles, you got hair, and had this little girlfriend, and
yeah.
Because this is a PG show, I ain't gonna say what I was saying to you.
Right.
But you had your little girlfriend, you football star, so I knew it was coming, and Um, in fact, I remember distinctly a conversation on your birthday that year that
Mm-hmm.
you had, and I told you what was coming. What God had shown me,
Right.
and so yeah, we went into spiritual warfare. It was basically that's what it was, spiritual warfare. And again, determined that, I saw your TikTok that you did a couple of weeks ago about where you told me, and you said all I said was I didn't want to go to watch night service, and you had this person in the background. That way you can't have my son. Well, I was basically doing that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I made it, and that's me, literally how it be looking like. Bro, all I said was I didn't want to go to watch night service just one time. Ah, dog, that'd be late. Then we stayed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleepy the next day. God, dog, we up at 6 in the morning to go to before sunrise service. Then we got to be back to watch the sun go down. Like, ain't this much serving God in the world now?
But it wasn't so much watch night service. This was every day. I
Right,
was,
yeah.
I was. No, you were not gonna have my child. Um, and then I was determined that you were gonna break that chain, that because your dad was a football star, and at the age of 17, he got a girl pregnant, and he ultimately had your brother Craig.
Right.
And so I was determined. I knew that was there. I don't know if people believe in generational curses, and I'm not gonna say it's a curse, but a well, basically that's what it is. Um, um, and so I was determined that that was not going to happen to you. That was not going to rest on you. That we were going to create a new circle for you, for the Spence name, and the legacy was going to begin with you being a college graduate. And so I did. I went into you and I were battling. It was kind of some tumultuous times in the household there for a minute, and
Mm-hmm.
then God came to me. I remember driving one evening coming from work, and I was driving down Jody Cole Road and praying about you and the Lord, because you and I had this horrible night the night before,
This is
and
the
I
night
just,
this the night I came home late from seeing Sarah or something like that.
yeah, yeah. And, you huffing and puffing and balling your fists up. And so,
Yeah, stick with me, man. Internet, man, internet.
that,
So you were saying it was the night I was huffing and puffing and balling my fist up?
yeah, huffing and puffing and had your chest poked out like a Bronco bull. And all because you came home late and was disputing what I was saying. And
It was literally 3 minutes, 10:33. I was
no,
like,
it's the fact. No, it wasn't. It was 11 o'clock, and I told you to be home at 10:30. Anyway,
10:33. Even me and Shauna was like 10:33. We joke about it from time to time.
no, but see, those are life lessons, because if your job tells you to be to work at 7 o'clock, it means be to work at 7 o'clock. You wasn't running into no traffic. The girl lived 12 minutes away from the house.
Dang, how you do that with MapQuest?
So
Cause we ain't had GPS right then.
I went and timed it.
Oh,
And
nice. So mothers, track your son.
exactly, track your children. You know what they're
Oh,
doing. Absolutely. You supposed to know what they're doing.
you drove to the girl house.
And so is your name is Milton. And then I timed it. So I knew exactly how long it took from her house to our driveway. So you
What
had to,
the world? Mom.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you for airing that out. I'm glad I learned that.
Whatever. But
That's so funny.
I tell any parent, hey,
Ma, you did whatever you had to do, huh?
I did whatever I had
I
to
tell
do.
you to be home at 10:30.
Mentality,
You better
you
leave by
home,
10:18.
you be home in no 10:33.
That's
That's when
so
it comes.
funny. I know I used to look at you sometime and it'd be like 10:20 and I'd be in the driveway like walking out. You'd be like, you headed home? I'd be like, yeah. Like, yeah, I'm headed home. I'd be like, she don't live that far. You'd be like, all right, don't be late. I'm like, God, dog.
It
Okay, so see you later. All right, bye.
those whether
And
you
then
was at a
I had Shauna Hyundai be speeding in that little thing, man. I ain't gonna let it catch me. I'm pulling up at 10:29, buddy. Garage open. She gonna hear that garage open. I don't care what I gotta do.
I was waiting on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, I be pressing the button from at the top of the street with a stop sign where I be holding it down. Cause I be scared. And
Waiting on
then, but that you're right. That day, I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to see my girl, man. She just gonna have to deal with it. And it didn't turn out too well. Yeah, it didn't turn out too well. But continue, please.
even in that, even that particular night, the following day, God, I was praying about it because it bothered me. It truly, truly bothered me that the way mine and your relationship had just all of a sudden just the dynamics of it had changed.
Yeah.
And I was in deep, deep prayer about it. And so I was coming down Jody Cole Road that evening, and the Lord spoke to me to tell you. And I think when I got home, I asked you to come downstairs. And my words to you were, God chose you for me and chose me for you. And God was the one that made the decision for me to be your mother. And if you don't have to like me, you don't have to love me, but you will respect me as your mother and as the choice that God made for me, for you. And if you have a problem with it, you need to take it to God, because ultimately what you're saying is you don't respect God's choice. And I think after that, I was fine. I walked out of the room, and you sat there for a long time, and then I think you came up to my bedroom, and you and I sat down and talked. And from that point on, our relationship began to mend.
Yeah.
So that never left me. That, no matter what, the mother that God assigned us all to was God's choice. And whether the mother is, or the parent, mother and father, God assigned to all of us was God's choice. And whether that parent or the parents are good, bad, or indifferent, it was still God's choice, and He had a reason for doing that. And so if you have an issue with it, or if you disrespect your parents, you're ultimately disrespecting God. And so that pretty much ties in with the scripture, honor thy mother and thy father. But it took that for me to say that to you, and then mine and your relationship began to mend. But yeah, you getting out of high school, Jesus, yes, Lord.
Yeah, but how did you? I mean, me going to me going into the world, because every male is going to hit that point in their life when, especially if they have nothing but women around them, they're going to start to maybe buck back a little bit, because it's starting to smell yourself. If you just like, hey, I'm a man, dude. She can't talk to me like that. Who she thinks she's talking to? I know how to do this and that. I know how to fend for myself now. She just need to, chill out. Pretty much. So, all right. So you obviously now, I graduate from high school. You got some mothers dealing with their sons being off in college. And some mothers who really want to hold on to their kids. To keep them close because of that fear. What would your advice be to mothers who have sons that are far off in college? How do they make sure that their son still stays the path?
Well, you went away to college, and
right.
That was the hardest thing. One of the hardest things that I've ever done was pulling away from that dormitory after we got you settled in. Um, and again, I know I've said it multiple times throughout this broadcast. I prayed a lot. I called a lot. I prayed a lot. But and I still talk to you. The conversation didn't stop. Milton, how's everything going? I still made it. Um, Hopefully, well, yeah, I did. You still knew that the door was open for you to come and talk to me about any and everything. Um, and I never closed that door of communication with you. I remained in contact with you. But I had to pray a lot because again, I wasn't there. I couldn't put my hands on you. You were 2.5 hours away from me. Um, and I know there was an instance where you had a situation that did occur while you were in school, and before um, you even told me what was going on, I knew it. God gave it to me. He just kept pressing you in my spirit that night.
Yeah.
And but the biggest thing for any mother is to pray over her children. She has to pray over her children. Um, you have to stay in communication with your children. You've got to make sure that that child feels safe enough with you to come and talk to you about any and everything. And when I say any and everything, I mean any and everything. Um, and even now, again, at you're 30 something years old, and you're 10 hours away from me now, and um, you're a father of your own children, but that still does not change the fact that you're my son, and I still pray over you a lot. I still call and check on you, and if something gets in my spirit about you, I'm on the phone with you,
Right.
asking. You may not tell me, and I may come back days later and say, hey, okay, I'm asking about this again, and
What is it that what advice would you give mothers who have kids that they want to hold close, but that kid is trying to kind of be like I was and be on his own and fly? How would you help them ease their fear?
y'all know my biggest thing is what I've told all of you, Shauna, Courtney, Karina, all of y'all when y'all were little, and my biggest thing that I say is do it afraid. Don't let fear hold you back because one, yes, that's your baby.
Right.
Um, but that baby was born and destined to do certain things in life, and you cannot be the one to dwarf that child's destiny. Um, Even though you're afraid to let your baby go, you have to let that child go. You have to let whatever creative force or whatever it is that God has already instilled in that child to do, they have to fulfill their destiny. And you will be the wind that's underneath that child's wing to push them into their destiny or to help them in any way that you possibly can to realize their destiny. Um, it's scary. I'm not gonna tell anybody it's not scary because it is. But you have to come out of your own self, come out of that hovering, and don't suffocate your child to the point where they're not able to live the destiny that God ultimately has planned for them. Because they have their own, just like we have one, the parent has one, the child has one, and it needs to be realized. And so um, you have to let go. No matter whatever it is that you got to do to help you let go. Mine was prayer. That's the only thing that gives me comfort. Um, I have to pray about stuff. I have to talk it through, rationalize it in my head. And even though I was scared, I still had to let you go. And when you came to me about whatever it is that you were trying to do, if it was something positive, to back you 100, 1,000%, whatever way I could do that. And even now, it's the same way. So that's again the charge that a parent has is to realize whatever that child's destiny is. You're afraid. To don't suffocate it out that baby. Don't do that.
And so, with that being said, um, growing into being a grown man, right? Now you notice that your son is no longer a baby, and you know that he is now in the world. He's not in a protected college anymore. He's out here. He's got to pay his own bills and wash his own clothes, and he got to do all of this stuff. You've said it a bunch, and I'm not going to continue to reiterate as far as continually opening up the lines of communication, constantly praying, constantly calling, constantly making sure that we talk, being intentional about those things, making sure that we keep a line open all the time, no matter what it is that, we can talk about any and everything. It don't matter what it is. There's no holding back. And those things, I hope and pray that everybody who's been listening picked up on all of that. I want you though to give us a rundown as a black woman watching black men out here. Obviously, everyone was raised in a different environment, but you're watching black men out here not just be ostracized, but then obviously gunned down, obviously hurt. And what type of advice would you give to us or those men who don't have that relationship with mom? How would you help us?
Oh, okay. So you went all in on that one.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do. That's
Wow.
what I do.
Oh, hmm. That's a good one. And, just in all that's going on in our country, in the world, um, especially in these last 9 days, it started with, gosh, and I didn't realize Eric Gardner until this morning. I did not realize it had been 6 years since Eric Gardner had been brutally killed by the police,
That's right.
New York police. I did not realize that until I saw his daughter on Good Morning America. And
Yep.
even well before Eric Gardner or um, uh, George Floyd, well beyond that. I'm a product of the '60s. I was a little girl when Dr. King was assassinated. I was a little girl when Robert Kennedy was assassinated. I was even born when I was a baby, but I was even born when John Kennedy was assassinated. Um,
Right.
but still, and then watching just my brothers, watching the men in our family, just and listening to the stories of some of the experiences the black men in our family have gone through, lived through, and then some of my own experiences as a black woman in this country. Um, and then here we are today, 2020, and it's like nothing really has changed. It settled down. It was subtle for a little while, but it was still there. But now it's front and center. And um, the biggest thing and the thing that I have been saying for the past few days, maybe for the past week, is corporations are now saying, "Oh, we support Black Lives That Matter." Now it's time for elections, and Grandma was a major proponent for voting. She instilled that in us. You exercise your right to vote because so many people died for us to have this right as African Americans. The Ku Klux Klan, when Grandma was a little girl, your great grandmother, which is my grandmother, um, decided she was going to register to vote in Montezuma, Georgia, and which was basically against the law for blacks. And then the Ku Klux Klan later on that evening came to Grandma and them's house because Grandma Carrie Lee had exercised her right to vote. So that being said, we are now in voting season. For years I worked the election polls because of how strongly I believe in that. But that I'm watching, politicians are now using what has happened to George Floyd, what has happened to Ahmaud Arbery as their little platform. But my thing is now, don't just give it freely. We need to vote, because we definitely need to vote that thing that's in Washington out of there. Um, but make them corporations, politicians, earn our support, earn it. Just like I've taught y'all, you got to work and earn your money. You got to work for it. Work, earn it, and work to keep our support, keep our vote, so that laws can be changed, that Black men are no longer just automatically looked at as being guilty before you even done anything. You get stopped. And I used to tell you this as a little boy. And I don't know if you even remember this. One time you and I, one of those moments where I had to take you shopping because you used to hate shopping.
Still hate it.
I know.
With a passion.
But you were this little kid, and you wanted to go play in the toy section.
Right, with everybody else.
Right. But at this particular store, I think it was me, you, and your sister. I think it was another family that was in there. We were the only Blacks in that store that day. And the store detective decided to follow you around because you had on a hood.
I don't remember that.
You had on. It was cold. You had on your coat, but you had on a hood. And your sister came and got me and said, "Mama, this man keeps following me in Milton." And so I stopped what I was doing, went over and I stood back and watched him. You were still playing. I kind of stood to the side to see what was going on first, to see what she was talking about. And it was a store detective. So me being me, I went up to him, and of course,
you being you, right? Oh Lord. Strap up, everybody. Strap up. Get your seatbelts ready, because this is not going to be pretty. I think the store detective probably still got boo-boo stains. But continue, Mom. I wasn't doing nothing. Yes, the H you was. Oh, Lord. Uh-oh. Go ahead, though, please.
Anyway.
The stage is yours.
Me being me. Approached him, confronted him for following my son, because one, you were a Black boy with a hood on, and he automatically assumed that you were going to steal something. So I circling back around to your question, Black men in general are automatically, no matter what they're doing, are automatically guilty. They have to prove their innocence. It's the reverse for you all. Right. Normally it's innocent until proven guilty. You all are guilty, and then you have to prove your innocence.
100%.
100%. And so what I can say to the Black men in particular, get your education, pull your pants up, demand respect, but give respect. And most of all, we need to vote. We need to vote. We need to vote. And we need to, just like we're rallying and protesting with Black Lives Matter, we need to rally and protest after, because they believe me, the system, the judicial system and the system, period, believes that we're fickle. And then 3 months, we're going to forget about it. It'll all settle down. Status quo will happen again. Everything will go back to the way it was, and they can continue on, press forward, and nothing else will be done. But we need to change the laws, that especially that citizen arrest law that is in place here in Georgia. I don't know if it's in place anywhere else, but we need to, some of these laws that were systematically set up to serve our white counterparts, but basically oppress black people,
Right.
oppressing and basically keep us in our place, so to speak. Those laws
Right.
need to be changed. And the only way we're going to do it for black men and black people, black and brown people, period, is that we have got to make them, they saying they're supporting us now, make them, make them stand on it. It's either time to crap or get off the pot.
Right. You
And
got to
if
prove it.
not,
Right.
right, you got to prove it. And if not, pull our spending power that we have, uh, pull it. If your company is not willing to actually stand on not tolerating racism and discrimination, pull it. Stop being scared to speak out. We need to speak out, but you need to do it in a non-violent way. The violence and the looting, I do not condone that. But all means, we need to stand together and we need to fight. We got to continue to fight. Y'all have been woken up. Now stay woke and continue to fight.
Right. So, what would you tell black men though who don't have that relationship with mom? Like, what do they do? Because not every black male has that. I know we focus on black fathers a lot, but there's some black men out here who don't know mom either. So, how would you help those men?
Either they have, I'm sure they either got a grandma or an auntie or a neighbor that and that's, it's either an auntie or grandma or a neighbor that that they can possibly connect with. There's got to be some woman in their life that can be a positive mama image for them. But even if they don't have that, realize their worth. If they've never been told that, always realize your worth, because you were put here for a reason, and you're worth something. Despite whether or not somebody has ever told you that, you're worth something. You are valuable, and you have to believe that within yourself. You have to do positive reinforcement for yourself. You got to act proclamations. You have to do positive proclamations for yourself. Realizing your worth, standing on that, never just settling for less than. Shoot for the stars, because the world is your oyster, but shoot for the stars. Go after your dreams, run after it, chase after it, no matter what. Okay, are we still live? We're still live. Okay.
Yeah, you good.
All right. But basically, run after that, and realize your worth. Don't let your environment define who you are, because you're more than that. A lot. I was a part of the prison ministry at our church, and I used to teach the GED prep class at the accountability court for Fulton County. And it was so many young folks that were in there, and we weren't allowed to really ask them about their story. That was part of the agreement. But I often wondered, how in the world could this 17 or this 20 or this 22-year-old kid end up here when so much, you've got so many opportunities afforded to you now. It's not like it was when grandma was coming up, or even in my generation, we were just coming out of the civil rights movement. So we were still fighting. Black people were still fighting for the right to have a seat at the table.
Right.
But now, this generation, y'all have everything afforded to you. And so how those young men ended up there, I often wonder that. And it's basically, like you said, it was somebody that wasn't present in their life, whether it was the mother, or whether it was both parents, or whether it was the father. But somebody didn't tell them that you're worth more than that. You're valuable. Your environment shouldn't define who you are. Fight against whatever it is that you're in, and look for something that's more excellent for yourself.
Gotcha.
and and that's what I want to leave for those men out there that may not have a mother. You're worth it. Fight for it. You're worth it. Somebody believes in you. Somebody will give you a chance, but you believe in yourself that you're worth it. And pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go for it, whatever your dreams are.
Awesome. So, I'm gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up, but I want to say a little piece. If you don't mind.
No,
Um, okay.
no.
So, being a black man, I was raised obviously by this woman right here, my mother, Sharon Thorpe. All right, and I have we've gone through very various ups, a lot of ups, had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ups and some downs, right? But now that being in this environment, one thing my mother helped me understand that as a black man, she said it: I have worth, I have value, I have a call, I have a purpose, I am somebody. Um, the danger is not necessarily in my brawn or my muscle, it is in my brain. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. My mom constantly used to say that to me. My mom always said, when you get older, this picture, and it's above my child's crib. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when they grow old, they should not depart from it. My mom pushed me. My mom challenged me. She helped me so much as a man, as a young boy to a man, that I have come to the understanding when they say it takes a village, I really do believe it takes a village. So I would charge and say every male that's listening to this, every female that's listening to this, take the opportunity to realize that although I'm talking to my mother, there are children out here, there are people out here who still need the mothering aspect, and they may need it from you. Do not be shy to stand outside, because one thing we didn't talk about is the other people outside of my sister and me who my mother helped mother, help raise, help talk to, and preach to, and pray over and pray for, and all of those things. So it behooves all of us to do that. That's number one. That's the first thing I want to say. And the second thing I want to say was, Mama, I appreciate you so much. I thank you for everything you've done, every sacrifice you've made for my sister and me. Um, I just thank you. And I love you from the bottom of my heart for everything, every place that you have taken us. Um, to every lesson that you have given. I can't thank you enough, because every word that you've ever said, I know sometimes y'all didn't think I was listening, but every word that you've ever said to me, has stuck with me to this day. I can remember a lot of things. It's because I listened to you guys and I took it serious. And especially when you stand out here and you start to face things, when you start to face things and you say, man, my mom told me about this, or, and some people might say, oh man, oh, you lame, or whatever the case may be. But they just didn't understand, like, I had a mom like you to back me up and help me out, because I could have been by the wayside myself. Some decisions that I was gonna make, or things that I thought were the right way to go. I just remember hearing it's like anytime I was about to do something real dumb that could have just really hurt me or harmed me in any way, I could always hear my mama in my head. And I know that was God's way of kind of getting my attention, because you hear mama's voice, you can hear other people's voice, but you hear your mom or your dad, it catches you. So Ma, I just really appreciate you, man, because man, without you, man, without you, none of this would be possible, because you just did an amazing job. And I'm grateful, man, that God blessed me with you as my mom. And I never traded in for anything in the world. I never
I'm
traded in.
so proud of you.
So thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you for just being my son. I constantly thank God for the gift that He gave me on September 2nd, the gift that He gave me on December 21st. And now have three amazing gifts that um, I am still just as determined. Um, Satan will not steal my future. And Milk and Madison and Caleb are my future. And so those are my next generation. And even though I don't have, I'm not directly raising them because, of course, they're you and Andrea and Milk's and Madison's parents, and Tashana and Dexter are Caleb's parents. But whatever way I can influence when I'm around them, the same stuff that I try to do with you and your sister, the same morals and integrity, learning to work in a spirit of excellence and giving back. Always remember that to whom much is given, much is required. And I used to tell y'all that all the time. Um, you, I'm determined. That same determination is now, that same fire is now here for my grandchildren. And so watching you, I'm just excited about the things that you're doing. As I've always said, in any way that I can help you, as long as God gives me breath, I'm here. I got your back. I'm your ride or die chick.
That's right.
You know, I ain't going there. If you wrong, y'all knew that. I ain't standing with you if you're wrong. I'll tell you in a minute. First, tell me the truth. Tell me what happened. Tell me the truth. And if you tell me the truth, I got your back. But if you lie to me, what was gonna happen?
And then if I come out to be wrong, you be like, well, that's on you, partner.
if you lie,
Well, nice knowing you.
you got to suffer the circumstance because you lied.
Right.
But no, but in the same thing with my grandbabies, I'm that same mama. I'm just a grandma now, but I'm just proud of you. I am so proud of you. I may not say it all the time, but it does my heart well. And when I see you moving and shaking and doing certain things, I can look at it when I see your posts, or even when those silly TikTok posts, I go back to my say, boy, go read a book. So, because I love to read. But anyway, you just make my heart proud. I can tell folks that's my baby. That's my baby. Or I can sit here and go, me and God did that. So because that's ultimately who did it. I couldn't have done it without God, and I couldn't have done it without my support system. I must give props to my mama and to my father that just passed away in January. I couldn't have done. They were a major support system for me with you and your sister. And so I left out one person that was also that helped me a lot with you, and that was Gary Little. I left him out earlier because he a lot of stuff that y'all don't even know about. He was right there, and so those were all positive men, role models that I surrounded y'all with mainly you with, and so I'm just proud. I'm honored that you asked me to take a part of this, and I hope I did very well. I hope I did. I hope what I said was helpful to somebody out there. Um, I feel strongly about what's going on. A lot of it I'm not even talking about, but I feel so strongly about it. And I feel strong about raising a black man child, because that's what I used to call you. You're a black man child. You're a child right now, but you're going to eventually be a man. And I look at so many single women with their little boys, and they're treating them like girls. Don't that's a boy. Don't raise him like a girl. That's not your girlfriend. You know, that's your son, and you need to treat him as that. He's a king. He's gonna ultimately become a king, and you've got to treat him like he's in a royal family,
Right.
and raise him to be that, to know who he is, to know who his self worth, and he's valuable. No matter what people say, just because of the color of his skin, he's valuable.
Yep.
And that's what, if anything, if nobody hears anything else, make sure you do that for your son. Make sure he knows that he's valuable. He's valuable. And there's positivity around him.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Mama, yeah, you did a great job. Thank you so much for even doing it impromptu. I know it was very impromptu, as you know. Anything that I'm doing or whatever I'm gonna do, I've already prayed about it, or God has given me a word to do so. So I just follow whatever God told me to do, and I asked you, and here we are. And so yeah, I'm grateful. Like I said before, I don't want to start crying again, but I'm just grateful. So thank you, and I love you very much.
Lord, he crying again.
Here you go. He crying again. Well, this time he did it on camera.
That's you know what? That's another thing I taught you. It's okay for you to cry. You're a man. That's true. But you're also a human being, and you got feelings.
Right.
We have a tendency of letting tell a boy, if a boy falls down, get up. You're a boy. Yeah, you supposed to get up, but it hurts when you fall
Yeah.
asleep. Me, it hurts.
Yeah.
But you don't let that boy, you know, just waddle and crying. But if he cries, okay, I know it hurts. We're gonna make it better. And that was something that I was adamant about too, not to let you be afraid to show your feelings, because you
Right.
got them. Just like the girl has them, you have them. But and it don't make you soft because you show your feelings. So
Right.
no, no, no. But anyway, I
All
know we
right.
got to go fix breakfast for your grandma.
Okay. Well, look, Mom, thank you so much. I love you, and you already know I'm gonna talk to you later on today. Mwah. I'm gonna talk
Boy,
to you.
thank you too.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Milton Spence once again, Well Rounded Coach's Corner, signing off. Peace, love, and chicken grease.
I love that.
Yeah.